Hey, good morning, everybody. What's happening? Robert Phoenix back with you once again. 15 minutes of flame where we bust reality on a daily basis. Welcome back. Welcome to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside. Come inside. It's a nice day out here. It's a little humid. And I decided to get close to the original state of my being as possible here. Although I will tell you, I am wearing some shorts today because my mother is here. You know, she knows what I looked like a long time ago, but let's just keep it in the halls of memory. Okay, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm like topless today. I'll show you why. Hold on. So, in the spirit of Mars and Aries, I wanted to wear something red today, and so I had this wonderful jersey, which is red. You see this? It's a red jersey, right there, and purchased by a friend of mine as a gift, a lovely gift, almost 2 years ago now, and it happens to be the jersey of a well-known player of the San Francisco 49ers, number 10. And this is Garoppolo, Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay. Now, I was like okay with this. And then I saw this on this. And it's like, you know what? I can't abide by this. I can't abide by this. No. Nope. So the NFL for me is not fucking looking. I'm not fucking looking at their sport anymore. Okay. Not fucking looking at it. So I'm not gonna burn this because it's a gift. And one day the NFL will be irrelevant and it'll be a nice red jersey to wear. But not today. Not today. Sounds more like a baseball name, Garoppolo. Jimmy's interesting. Jimmy G. He's definitely he's kind of an idol. He's a good looking dude. Okay, good looking dude. Too bad his coach did not trust him a bit more. So, how was everybody today? Yeah, it's a little warm out here, and so I showed you I was going to wear that jersey. And then I saw the NFL symbol and emblem. And it's like, I can't do that. I can't support that. I can't support that. Now we got to be really consistent with what we support and don't support. Now, you don't have to be a Nazi about certain things. There's a movie that William Hurt and Raul Julia did based on a book called Kiss of the Spider Woman. It's kind of an interesting movie on some level. Like if I saw it again today, I'd probably do a Jack the Ripper number on that film. But there's one scene in that movie that really stood out to me more than anything else in that movie. And it's a scene where the two of them are together. And Raul Julia, in case you don't know, by the way, Raul Julia was a big Scientologist. And William Hurt is a follower, he's a devotee of Guru Mai. So you have transcendentalism meeting L. Ron Hubbardism in the characters, their spiritual beliefs. So in that movie, William Hurt plays a transvestite, not a transvestite. He's a guy who's obviously gay. He's in jail for political reasons, and he dresses like a woman. Okay. The feminization of sort of the quote unquote white masculine male. William Hurt's an interesting character with a number of the roles he's played over time. Maybe I could do a dissertation on William Hurt one of these days. Even the name, like the name is interesting. Will, with the will, I, which is the I am. The will I am, of course, from that guy, the musician. He knows all about his name, by the way. He's an Aries, so Will I Am is an Aries. But anyway, we're talking about William Hurt. So Will I Am and Hurt, the wounded will. The Wounded Will. So in Kiss of the Spider Woman, Raul Julia plays a dissident, and both of them are in jail, I think for political reasons, and they bond together. They bond together. So they really bond together at some point, by the way, which is kind of interesting because, okay, this is a trip now, but it's not the same. Okay, so John. Okay, I'm not ready to make this parallel yet. Okay, so they're in the movie together, they're bonding, and the William Hurt character is eating an avocado. And Raul Julia really wants that avocado. But he thinks that the avocado is a symbol of a bourgeois food, right? That it is the food of somebody who can afford an avocado versus somebody who can afford, I don't know, a plate of beans or something like that. So they get into this debate about the avocado as a symbol. And for William Hurt, it's like, it's just an avocado, right? And for Raul Julia, it became something much better. Like, if you just watch that scene, the avocado scene, it's worth seeing. And I'm sure that there's other like connections. It's been a long time since I saw that movie, but it was that scene. It stood out. Anyway, that goes back to what do you want to protest, or how do you want to make your point known about certain things, and certainly around the mask issue. Right, certainly around the mask issue. And so yesterday I had three mask experiences, 3 of them, and 2 of them were the same, and one of them was different. So I was driving to pick up my mother from the hill country here, and headed to Austin. And I was hungry, so I decided to stop at a deli along the way to get a gluten-free sandwich. And so I love this place, Thundercloud Subs. I really love Thundercloud Subs. A lot of people, some people like Subway or whatever. It's not my thing, but I really like Thundercloud Subs. By the way, shout out to Masaki, right there. Shout out to Masaki. And I thought, so I know that Dripping Springs down the road is gone full mask. Everybody's gone full mask retard now, thanks to Judas Abbott. And I knew that, right? So, but Dripping Springs is not a place that I spend a lot of time at. So I have, if you see, this is the psychology of the traveler or the wanderer. And I'm essentially a wanderer, by the way. So anyway, I think that I've got to figure this thing out, and I don't want to press the populace. I don't want to go into the Thundercloud Subs without a mask and demand to be served. Okay, so I call ahead of time. I said, "What's the situation there? Do you got any tables? What's your mask policy?" So they're pretty clear about it. Okay, so I said, "Okay, let me order a sub, and I could pick it up on the curb, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, you could do that." So I ordered a gluten-free chicken salad sandwich. They have great chicken salad, by the way. And I roll up right in front, and there's a table in front, outside. And to the right of it is a pizza place called Hill Country Pizza. Not bad. They do pretty good gluten-free pie there. Anyway, there are 2 women sitting out, having a little pizza, having a little wine, mask-free. Like, oh, I like that idea. So I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to have my pizza, or my sub. So I call the guy up. He says, "Oh, yeah, hi, how's it going? It's almost done." "Yeah, I'm out front. I'm sitting at the table." And he walks out, and he brings me my sandwich and my drink, and I pay him for it. And I sit down, and I'm having a nice little sandwich and having the iced tea, and I got no mask on. By the way, I would say 90% of the people had masks on. And every now and then I got the icy stare. Like, "What are you doing? You're not wearing a mask." And I loved eating my sandwich. So after that, I go and pick up my mother. Everything's good. And I have to get a little topper, some oil for my vehicle. And the gas station is right next to the airport, theoretically still Austin. And of course, I've got to go in and wear the mask. Not doing that. So I go in, get what I need, split. Boom. Drive down the road, take another way back. I think we're in either in San Marcos or Kyle. I think it might have been San Marcos. I pull in off the freeway. Of course, again, the mask thing. And I go to a convenience store, and everybody's wearing masks. And the convenience store says, you got to wear a mask. And I don't wear a mask. I walk in. I get my little iced tea. I walk up. I pay for it. Say thank you. Boom. Nobody said anything. Okay. So I've done this before, and I will continue to do this on a situation by situation basis. If I am in a place where, like the thundercloud, where I just knew, like internally, I knew that was going to be an issue, and so I did a course correct and managed to kind of do a little Gemini thing and get what I needed and get what I wanted and still be very happy, right? And I respected their little kind of rules of order, and I had a great little sandwich. I got to eat outside, and I got to piss off some people that were wearing masks and wish they could be, sort of as free. So on the other instances is, and this is an important thing, okay? But again, you have to have the right signal, which is important. And the signal is when you do something like that, you cannot be defiant. Okay, that's the one thing you can't be. You can't be, fuck you, I'm not going to wear a mask, motherfucker. No. Fuck you. If you're going to do that, you have to be very natural and very confident, like it is simply your God-given right to not wear a mask. And to squelch any of the confrontational energy that you have when you enter that space. It's a really good practice, by the way. It's a really good practice. It's like a Jedi mind trick. If you do that and you're confident and happy and peaceful and you're not wearing a mask, guess what? Most people are going to leave you the fuck alone. They will. Because we're operating at a signal level. We're always interacting with each other's fields. So if you have a confrontational fuck you field, you will get confrontational fuck you energy back. And that's how it works. But you have to work that stuff out ahead of time so that you can actually do that. So, and I do have confrontational fuck you energy. It's been a blessing and a curse, by the way. So anyway, both instances worked, right? One at the airport, gas station, and the other at the other. And the other one was very like everybody was totally masked up. And again, I got the looks. Like, what is that guy doing? He's not wearing a mask. Yeah, I'm not wearing a mask. Hold on, so I got to clean my glasses. It's a little foggy here. So I say humid. It's not foggy. A little humid here. There we go. I think that's better. Yeah, much better. I'm so happy Arkansas isn't pushing masks. Yes, if you make eye contact, smile, it disarms most ideological possession in those situations. Hey, let's do a little club check here. Let's see who we got in the house. We got Justice and Leanne and FUP 77. There's Kestrel, Fifth Wall. Cheryl, what's going on, Cheryl? Wendy Quintana. Hello, Wendy. Julie Sunshine, 333. EC 2189. Kaku checking in. Dawn Hart. Hi, Dawn. Good to see you. Sue Escobar. Hi, Sue. The Crimmies. Steve and Chris, I'm going to reach out to you guys today. Let's see. Uncle Glenn playing the hot corner. By the way, MLB is coming back. They've canceled minor league baseball this year. Fuck. Minor league baseball is kind of like independent businesses because you know what they are. They are. So we got Major League Baseball, but no minor. How would you feel about that? If I was a minor league baseball player, or I was a I mean, this is really, and I'm not watching MLB, which, by the way, is the inversion of BLM. I'm not going to go there, but I'm not watching MLB. And baseball is a sport I grew up loving. It was my first sport, and I was actually pretty good at it. And even when I was like coaching my kids' teams, I could knock the shit out of the ball way out to the outfield. Have these kids, get their fly ball stuff on. So even at like an advanced age, I could hit a baseball pretty well. My right shoulder got blown out, so actually throwing a baseball became more and more problematic. But hitting, not an issue. It was really interesting. So, okay, I'll give you a little back anatomy of Robert Phoenix. So when I was, you see that right there? Okay. So that's a shattered elbow. See that scar right there? Right there. I shattered my elbow when I was 20 years old, 19, 20. I forget exactly the year. I think I might have been maybe 19. I'll tell you the shattered elbow story after the invocation. Dear blessed and holy Father, Mother God of the great central sun, which is the universal light, the light of Yeshua, Sananda, Emmanuel. And at this time, we ask that only the highest and best information come through this channel and every other channel that watches this channel as well. That includes other YouTube channels and other individuals. We ask at this time for strength, purpose, clarity, direction, focus, compassion, empathy, perspective, humor, flexibility, and above all, the connection to our higher will, which is our own true will. And you could use your free will in order to get there. We also ask that any karmic residue be clarified, purified, cleansed, removed, so that we return to our experience as sovereign entities. So be it. Okay, so here comes the elbow story right here. So I have this, it's a crazy story. So this is back when I was in junior college, and I was like kind of the sort of the production wunderkind. Okay, so what I went to a college called San Mateo City College. And they had they were well known for their communications department. So my parents, in their infinite wisdom, when we moved from San Jose to Foster City, in their infinite wisdom, they decided that they were going to, because I didn't know what the fuck to do, really. I mean, I had these visions because I was really into martial arts back then. I had these visions of, hey, maybe I can go to Thailand and go become a kickboxer, because I used to watch kickboxing on TV, and I wouldn't have lasted like, one day in Thailand with their kickboxing training. But it was a romantic idea. So we moved to a little town called Foster City, which was one of these areas that was created on landfill. So they took a bunch of landfill and they started filling up the bay, and then they created this new little city called Foster City. And it always kind of reminded me of The Prisoner a little bit, that TV show. So I lived there for a couple of years, and I went to college at San Mateo. So I got involved in TV production because that's what my parents thought I would be good at, and their infinite wisdom. They were kind of right. So I get involved in the program, and it was really interesting because I go there, and I meet with my the guy who's the counselor, right? He's the counselor for the advisor. He's the advisor for the telecommunications department. And I sat down with him, and he asked me, he said, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? Well, I said, I really like sports, and I'd like to be a sports announcer. He says, you'll never make it. I'm like, what the fuck? I've never encountered anything like that before, by the way. And I'm like, why? Because your articulation and diction, it's all wrong, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, where is this guy coming from? And I didn't forget that, man. I did not forget that. This is a program that produced two fairly significant individuals on the production, on the broadcast side. John Miller, who is what known as the voice of Major League Baseball on ESPN, San Francisco Giants, Baltimore Orioles. John Miller came through that program. And a guy by the name of Dave McElhatton, who was a local broadcaster, radio, and then CBS. He came through that program. And so it was like, I was in a kind of sensitive period. I mean, I was, I was kind of a pissed off punk rocker, but I was also kind of sensitive. Like, why is this guy telling me this, that I'll never make it? That was like a really kind of painful moment for me, actually. Instead of saying, hey, look, I think you have a good voice, but you need to work on your diction and articulation, and I think we can help you. It's a really good program. And we've sent a lot of people. Why do people do that? It's almost like that, he was like this inorganic being. He was like this portal, and it was like, fuck you. Sorry, pardon my language. That's what it felt like. So I'm not opposed to a challenge, but that I got challenged in another way by a different guy at that college, a different teacher. And that challenge actually intrigued me. And I'll share that in a minute. So when I get into the program and I'm thinking, oh, well, geez, maybe he's right. Maybe I'll never be a sports. So I get into TV production and I was very, very good at it. Super, super good at it. In fact, this one guy who taught my TV production class, he told me at one point, and he was another guy that now this guy was kind of a badass. He worked for ABC, both locally and doing national production. And I even remember his name, Bill Asmussen. He was a badass. This guy was the real deal. And he sat me down and he said, look, I think you could really do something in this industry. Really do something. And I'm like, wow, cool, great. It's like, this guy gets it. Because I worked hard and I had good people skills, good ideas. Anyway, so I get involved with this TV show, which I've talked about before. And one of the things that I did was I decided that I wanted to produce a rock video, which were kind of just starting to hit back then. Like MTV was just starting to hit. And I went to a club one night on, I think it was Haight. I think it was called the Palms. And it was on Haight near the park. And I was with my girlfriend, her brother, and some other people. And we stumble into this bar and there's this band called The Confessions. And I watched them. I'm like, wow, man, these guys are really, really good. And the lead singer was a gal by the name of Susie Davis. And Susie Davis was the daughter of this guy, Norman Davis, who was a well-known DJ. I didn't know that at the time, by the way. And I think Susie Davis wanted to write songs. I think she might have a connection with Prince or something. Not really clear about that. But Susie had some charisma. And the band was really good. So I'm like, man, I want to do a video with this band, right? So I don't know. I had these little cards made up. And I said, hey, I'm part of this TV show in San Mateo. And I'd like to do a video with you. And they were like, oh shit, okay. So I gave them, and then I met with them and I went to this place called Hamburger Mary's. And it was like this incredible experience. It was in San Francisco. And it was Hamburger Mary's on Folsom Street. And at that time, that Folsom area was really interesting. It was like this crazy intersection between like nascent gay culture, punk rock, artists. It was really, really, really interesting. Like it was vibrant, right? And there was no kind of political agenda. Everybody's trying to like figure out how they were going to be free on some level across all these sectors, right? You had the gay homosexual community says, fuck it. We're going to fuck as many people as we want because we have agreement and we want to be free. Like I think really that was kind of their statement in some ways. And it's like, okay, fine, if that's your thing. But it was not political at all. It got more political when you went out to Castro, which was Harvey Milk's area. That's a whole other story, by the way. That and then you have the whole punk rock scene. You had the live workspace and artists, and they actually even had like there were like garages and stuff down there where they would fix cars and motorcycles, and it was really interesting. Right? So this is around I think 1979. So I go to this place called Hamburger Mary's, and I have a hamburger that I've never ever had before in my entire life. It was crazy. It was like I had this hamburger with blue cheese on it. I'm like, shit, this is cool, man. So I meet with these people. We talk, and then I set it up. I get permission from the producer, from the TV station, and I bring them down, right? I bring them down to San Mateo, and it was on a Sunday, and then I had the whole thing kind of like, how are we going to do this? What's the backdrop? So I decided I was going to purchase, the stuff that they make out of the garbage bags, right? But I got big rolls of it, black. So I put that as a backdrop. Of course, I'm 19 years old, so I spray painted the band's name. These people are older; they're not my age. They're probably in their, late 20s and maybe even early 30s. And here I am, just like this, like little, baby-faced kid, really, because I looked really young. I was 19, but I probably looked like I was about 15, 16. Anyway, I had this great crew, and we had 2 stationary cameras, and then we had this one guy in our crew who had his own camera, his own video camera, and he was really great, this guy Jeff. So we shot 2 songs, and it was fantastic. We got 2 great videos out of it. The band got both videos out of it. And then we decided to celebrate afterwards. Okay. Oh, you got to have that celebration moment. So again, I'm too young. I can't buy any alcohol. I'm 19 years old. So we go to, like, I don't know, Lucky's or Payless or some shit. We buy a lot of beer, a lot of beer. So we go back to the college, and College of San Mateo is up on a hill. It's beautiful, beautiful view over the entire Bay Area. So we go all the way out to this one area, and which is kind of like the far end of the college. And there were 2 levels, right? There was one level with parking and another level with parking. So, we're well into like a couple of cases. And I decide that I've got to go use the restroom. So I don't know. The Virgo in me says, go up to the upper level, get away from the van or whatever car we're in. So I go up to the upper level and, take a pee. And then I see what looks like the cops. So, I decide to go run and tell my buddies that the cops are coming. So I start running back down this hill, and I was really like, I was lit, and I was like moving too fast. And I get to the bottom of the hill and I miss a step, and I literally flip in the air. Okay. So the first thing that I land on is my back. And then the second place that I land on is my elbow, and I completely shatter my elbow. And I really thought I messed up my back. The elbow, I thought, oh, it's just, it's all puffy and everything, but I could move it. Oh, I could not move it. I don't know how I was moving it. So it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And then I had to go to the hospital. I went in the hospital, put me on the x-ray, and the doctor said, that might be the worst break of a bone that I've ever seen in my life. I completely shattered my elbow. It's the only broken bone I've ever had. So, and he said, I don't think you'll ever regain your full use of that arm again. And you hear something like that, and I was kind of low. So the Sean Spicoli in me, when he said that, was like, really? Oh, I got an award, best break ever. Wow, worst break ever. Wow, he'll always remember me, right? And then the next morning came, and it was one of the most painful mornings of my life. I had to wait another day before they could do surgery because I've been drinking. So I had to go a whole day of just living with that pain, no painkillers. It was like God said, you were a bad boy. You were a very bad boy. You need to feel some pain. So then I went into the hospital, and then they put a pin and I've got a screw in here. They get a cast. And then the doctor told me, he said, look, if you, once you get your cast off, whatever you do, don't lift any weights. And you think, okay, well, maybe I'll listen to this doctor guy. So I happened to meet this other dude during this process, and he saw that I had a cast and everything. This guy was from Chicago. He was an interesting character. And he said, I had an accident at work, and I was working, and I had a radial saw cut off 3/4 of my elbow. And I was in like an 18-hour surgery where they were connecting the nerve endings. And he said, listen, they're going to tell you not to lift any weights, but lift weights. Lift the weight. First thing you do when you get that cast off, just take one weight and straighten it out. So I remember this guy. So when I got the cast off, I started to do that. right? I gotta wait. And they said that I would never get full. I've got almost not quite full. It's about 98%. But I started to lift weights and everything. It was great. But during that time when I had the cast on, I could do anything. I could play baseball. I learned how to play baseball with one hand, one arm. I'd hit with one arm. I even put a mitt on and I could catch with limited actually. I played pool. It was you could do a lot with one arm theoretically. Not that I ever want to do it again. But yeah, so I don't know why I'm telling this story, but I am telling it to you. And I think it has to do with overcoming limitations. And that started off with the whole baseball and the hitting of the baseball. And I would say this, though, that if I was a baseball player, that I probably would have had to learn how to bet left-handed, maybe, because my baseball career, not that I have, would have been over then. There you go. Trip down memory lane. The shattered elbow story. Okay, so a lot to get to today. A lot to get to. First of all, I wanted to, maybe we'll save this for, I'm on the fence with this one thing. And I need to stay on the fence for it a little bit until I get the green, the really green light, right, to do this thing. I want to talk about a few other things. Big things, though. Really, really big things. So as you know, I am not a big Q person. That has not been my thing. But there is something going on. There is definitely something going on. And the something that's going on has to do with Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks, and Ellen DeGeneres. Okay. I'm going to show you something now. This is some of you guys are all sharp. You guys are razor sharp. So I'm probably going to show a lot of you something that you already know and are already aware of, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. This is an interesting story. It says, Ellen DeGeneres goes the Oprah way, desperately tries to stay relevant amid reports of her show being scrapped. Ellen is losing her show. She's losing her show. Oprah already lost her show. She already lost. Now, Oprah was one of the most powerful women in Hollywood. Or I guess she was still shooting her show, what about Chicago? And she lost her show. If you were Oprah Winfrey, right, why would you want to stop producing your show? The answer to that is you wouldn't. You would not. But I would say that external forces, either in her camp or in an opposing camp, decided to cancel her. Now, Ellen is in the same place now because Ellen replaced Oprah. Ironically, they're both Aquarians. Interesting. And Ellen is on her way out. Ellen is presently focusing on empowering her namesake digital network by adding new shows and giving new artists a chance. Blah, 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 blah. According to CCN, DeGeneres might be trying to follow her friends Oprah Winfrey's footsteps when it comes to keeping herself relevant by making herself name for herself through her network, especially after her show continues to slide in ratings. Reported last week, all signs seem to point to the possibility of the Ellen DeGeneres show getting canceled as the long-running talk show continues to drop in ratings, following scandalous rumors about the host, whom both guests as well as employees on her show have accused of being mean. According to TV News Check, the show has recently plummeted to an all-time low when it comes to ratings. Ratings are arbitrary. That's why they call it Arbitron. By the way, I've been an Arbitron family 2 times. Well, actually, a Nielsen family. I've been a Nielsen family 2 times. Isn't that interesting? I got paid. I made some good money off being a Nielsen. But ultimately, they had to ditch me because, I'd cut the cord and I was going through Roku and stuff. But I made some money off of it. It was reported last week that DeGeneres signed Sarah Hyland, Ellie Kemper, and Tiffany Haddish to the Ellen Digital Network, which was launched in 2016. Hyland will front a show titled Lady Parts, alongside OBGYN Dr. Cheryl A. Ross, where the actress And the doctor will chat with celebrity guests about sex, anatomy, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, starring Help Me Gen Z. She will be talking to Generation Zers to get their perspective on various topics. TikTok star and vegan influencer Tabitha Brown was also given a show on the network. Look, this is nothing, right? She's done. Ellen is done. She's done. Boom. She's see ya. Canceled. Now, apparently, I've seen pictures where they're both Ellen and Oprah seem to be wearing ankle bracelets hidden underneath socks. This is something that's been talked about for a while, and I've known about it for a while. I just didn't want to talk about it on the show. It seems like it's happening. Tom Hanks, incognito. Rita Wilson. Where the hell is Rita Wilson? Remember how Rita Wilson was out there giving people her phone number? Text me, call me. Like, I'm scared shitless. Tommy's not around. We're isolated. Our handlers can't help us right now. Both those people have vanished, really. And they have Tom Hanks' brother, who sounds a hell of a lot like him, to kind of keep the Hanks thing going. But it seems like these people are being disappeared. And there seems to be some real validity around what's happening. And I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon, but I am going to pay attention and say that there is a there there, that there is definitely a there there. The other thing that's really interesting is, like, there's this whole thing with JFK Jr. and this picture of so it's like JFK Jr. is reemerging. And they keep giving this picture of JFK Jr. now with his beard and everything. I have to say that JFK Jr. looks a lot like Mel Gibson. I'm just saying, if you haven't looked at the latest picture, let me see if I can find this thing. Give me a second here. Let's see if I can find this. By the way, I've got my mother watching Steven Crowder. I think Steven Crowder is the pink pill. That's what I think. She's the pink. Steven Crowder is the pink pill. If you want to red pill somebody, especially an older person, send them to Steven Crowder. He will pink pill them. And by the way, kind of a big shout out to Emily. I've known this. I've known about this guy for a while, and I think he's really good, actually. But Emily's really into him, and I know a lot of you probably are as well. But Emily turned me on to Tim. I knew about Tim Pool, and I've watched some Tim Pool. And she sent me this one video, and it's like, okay, this guy is having a red pill moment, and he's a skater, and he's an interesting young guy. Definitely, I think he's a millennial. He's definitely the millennial. And so I've been watching Tim Pool, and Tim Pool is like, if you want to send information to your kind of on the fence, semi-open-minded liberal friends, send them Tim Pool stuff. Like Tim Pool is like the maroon pill. He's the maroon pill. Steven Crowder is the pink pill. So if you have somebody who is conservative, but kind of, a waffly sort of conservative, enjoys humor, might be above the age of 60, might enjoy a kind of cherub face fresh scrubbed, clean cut young man with a little devilish sense of humor. Steven Crowder's your guy. He's the pink pill. Tim Pool is the maroon pill. Okay. So I'm just trying to find this image. Okay. There's a picture now, and I can't find it, but there's a picture for this JFK Jr. emergence. Gotta say, man, he looks a lot like Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson. Just check it out. Check it out. Walmart's breaking down. Less and less product is going to Walmart's. So what I've shared with you before. If you need to get some stuff, like this is the time to get some stuff. I'm getting ready to cancel my Amazon Prime account on the 6th of July. I'm not going to renew because renewal's on the 7th of July. So I'm getting those final few goodies that I need and can get through Amazon. And then after that, boom, cut the cord. No more Amazon Prime Video. That's where it goes. Okay? That's where I'm at with that. But check out the JFK Jr. thing and check out, there's a resemblance to Mel Gibson. I'm not saying they're the same person, by the way. I wouldn't say that, but he looks uncannily like Mel Gibson. So there's a lot happening now, obviously. And there are a couple directions I want to take today's broadcast or today's transmission. So we are in a time of crisis, a serious time of crisis. And we all know that. And crisis represents opportunity. It really, really does. Really does. And, Michael Jones, Professor Jones talks about this idea of logos. And I keep seeing this principle in action because every time something is done or they try to theoretically do something, there's an there's an inversion of the inversion. So theoretically, we are living in an inverted culture or an inverted timeline now, where lies are truth, hate is love. It's all Orwellian, right? But what's happening is that these people think that they can control the nature of the universe through various forms of either artificial intelligence, propaganda, spelling, mind control. You know the story, you know the script. We've gone there. We've looked into Bernays, any number of other people, and clearly psychological laboratories that are now completely open air, right? Like before, they would used to take you into some kind of facility, hit you with a shock, show you like really brutal films, have the Clockwork Orange moment. Well, the whole planet has become an open air laboratory for that. Okay. It's open air. It's ubiquitous. But what's happening now is that through the inversion, this logos, this principle, this spirit, this energy is inverting the inversion. And you watch certain things and it's like, wow, this is interesting. This is interesting. It's like everything that they're trying to do and throwing everything at it is getting transmutated and coming out in a different way. It's kind of blowing my mind. Tucker Carlson has smashed the ratings. Absolutely smashed the ratings. His show in the last month has broken ratings, historical ratings. What does that tell you? And Tucker is on point every night. I think these people, I'm still trying to figure out, pink polo shirt guy and his wife. And part of me thinks, I'm talking about the defenders of the castle in St. Louis. There's part of me that thinks that's legit, and there's another part of me still thinking that's not legit. Because right after, and maybe he has to do this even Tim Pool pointed this out. Like right after that happened, he went out and said that that the protests and those people that were there were angry. It was all due to white people. That's what he said. He went right out and said that, and he said, "Oh, I defend." And look, it could be just falling on the sword because he has to, but that just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, you cannot fall on the sword. If you fall on the sword, you better really literally fall on the sword if you have to, and that's your e-ticket out of the polarization and the conflict. But that didn't come out in the interview with Tucker, and I was surprised. So it's almost like he's flashing in front in two different scripts, which is not surprising given the time that we're living in. The other thing is to take away with this, and I'm going to say something here that may encroach onto the sort of, how do we say this, in politically correct territory. And I'm going to try to do it in a broad way. Have you ever noticed now, when you watch some of these people, and I've seen some of these people now, we're talking district attorneys, judges, mayors, people that are in fairly important and prominent positions in this country. Have you noticed that most of them are morons? I mean, really, I'm not talking about their points of view. I'm talking that these are not very bright people. These are not very bright people. Okay? They're just not. And then I think about how did they get to where they are if they are not theoretically the best and the brightest? Reality is not a meritocracy. It is not a meritocracy. So-called reality is not a meritocracy. Reality has been socially engineered in a way that this quaint notion of the meritocracy has been disposed of. And so what we have is we have people that wind up getting into universities. They get into programs. They get, and I'll give you an example, clear example, and I've covered this before, was the gal who's the judge in Dallas, who originally ruled on the father who was trying to keep his kid from being transgendered. And I played that interview with her before. It was like this self-styled kind of Oprah kind of, biopic she did about her life. She says, well, I went down to the University of Houston and I was going to be a doctor, and I decided, no, maybe not a doctor. And then I did a debate, and somebody saw me debate and said, you'd make a good lawyer. And I said, okay, well, I want to be a judge. And so she got lawyered up, and now she's a judge. And you watch that video, and again, I'm not trying to parse anybody out, right? I'm just looking at it from a critical perception. I'm like, it is so unimpressive. It's just unimpressive. On the other hand, I've seen let me be clear. There's another side to this too. I got to play the devil's advocate. There are some really smart motherfuckers out there. Like Alan Dershowitz is no idiot. He's a smart guy, but he's at the other end of the spectrum, right? He's like super intelligent or hyper intelligent, and he's using that in a very different kind of way. Okay. So we have people that are very, very intelligent and to the point where it might be bordering on, psychopathology. And then we have other people who do not display those same kinds of traits of theoretical hyperintelligence. You don't have to be hyperintelligent, by the way. You don't have to be. What do you need to get through in life? Well, you need to be logical on some level. You need to be rational. You need to have a good heart, really good heart. So those three things, logical, rational, good heart, there's your tools to get through life. If you have an overarching kind of spiritual principle or philosophy that allows you to overcome, because life will give you shit. You will go through heavy stuff in life. You got to have something that's going to get you through those times. You have to. If you don't, you will be cast out into some existential hell. And that's not a place you want to spend much time at. But you don't really have to be hyper intelligent with life. There's just certain traits. I think you have to have loyalty and character and commitment, right? Logic, rationality, heart, loyalty, character, commitment. Boom. And humility. You get those 7 traits and you can be really successful. Even if you have, let's say, a slightly above average IQ or even an average IQ. I've seen people, look, I have a relative. And he's illiterate. This guy is illiterate. And he is not a towering intellect. There are people like Robbie Williams. He even admitted it. Robbie Williams said, I couldn't read and I couldn't do math. But Robbie Williams is really bright. He's very switched on. He's in a different camp than this uncle of mine. Okay. And this guy is my uncle, built up a lot of personal wealth. And some of it was a little questionable, dubious. I'm not getting into the story. But it's a family story. It has nothing to do with anything he's done criminally. Oh, the old gal's up. I wonder if I can get her out here. Let me see if I can get her out here. She's cruising around. She's hungry. I may have to feed her soon. Now she's walking past the door. She's not looking at me. No eye contact. That's a clear sign. Anyway. But he's done really well. This guy's done really well. How has he done well? Well, he lives in New Jersey. It gets very cold there. There's snow. And he's got a snowplow, and he snowplows things. And he's got these other things that he does. He can fix things. And he's done really well for himself. Now, I'm not saying he has sterling character or some of those other traits, but I'm telling you, you don't have to be a towering intellect to get through life and to be successful. Trust me, I've seen it. And sometimes having a towering intellect can actually be a detriment. And I know a lot of you people know really, really, really bright people, and they can never seem to get their fucking lives together. See, that sounds a little familiar. Anyway, so you don't need all that stuff. So this is what I'm saying here. But getting back to the original premise, I've watched these people. These people are now engaged in public service. And it is frightening. It is frightening because, number one, in, I would say, 80% of these cases, they are ideologically driven and motivated. And then you kind of line up you just look at them. It's like, that person's not really bright. How did that person get into that position? See, this is not a good thing, I have to say. Now, as we go through this inversion effect, all this stuff is going to come out. Because a lot of the time, our public servants have hidden behind a veil where they have been operating in secrecy and usually taking orders from, we've seen the game. We've seen the Aspen Institute as this umbrella incubator. That's what happens. But now we're paying attention. It's like, holy shit, really? Really? This person is involved in policy? They're adjudicating? They're trying somebody? And again, I need to be clear that on the other end of the spectrum, when you have hyperintelligence, it results in a very different kind of dilemma, kind of a heightened form of psychopathology. So this has been kind of mind-blowing, watching these things happen. All right, I want to get into kind of a bit of a different piece here. And it does have to do with Tucker Carlson. And it has to do, I'm going to play you 2 pieces of video. And it has to do with the young women and the young men that are a part of this so-called movement. Okay? And I'm going to give you 2 examples of how do I say this? an inverted kind of, again, hyper modeling or a hyper mutation of the species. And when I show you the video of this young woman, okay, it's mind-blowing what she does, what she says, and how she does it. And it's like they have extracted all the femininity and all of the grace and all of the qualities of what I believe women have. And women and men, they're just not the same. I'm sorry, we're not the same. We're not the same. We are different, and I'm really okay with that, and I'm happy about it. I'm happy. And we don't always agree. We do things differently. And, you know, that's part of the beautiful thing about negotiating and matching up and trying to, you know, figure this stuff out, right? But we're not the same. And to say that we're the same is an injustice and a disgrace to both men and women. And I'm not even going to get into non-binary and all that shit. That I'm just saying, you know, these two theoretical people that are agreed upon, this one is this and this one is the other, okay? So we see this young woman, and it's like everything has just been stripped and extracted out of that part of her. And what's left is the expression of emotion as projected through mental rage and repetition. And it's painful to watch. And I'm going to show you an example of a young man who has had all of his so-called mental faculties stripped and extracted from him. So what he's doing is he is parroting an emotional platitude. And through that process, right, he is actually turning himself, and both of themselves, they're both turning themselves into tyrants and bullies. Each one driven by kind of a separate signal, but that signal being locked in place by stripping and extracting their kind of original core and their original sort of their own original signal. Okay. And I'm going to get into why I think this has happened to these young people. I think young people, and I thought about this with these protests, I think they're in a great deal of pain. An extreme amount of pain. I see these protesters now, not all of them, by the way. I think some of them are very exploitative, very exploitative. And they are exploiting the moment in a big way. But I think that a lot of these young people are in a lot of pain. They're in a lot of pain. And they don't know what to do with it. And so what they do is they assemble together, they have a collective, or they're trying to have a collective catharsis in some ways. But it's at the expense of a lot of other things. It's completely misguided, completely. But they're in a lot of, I saw this, they're in a lot of pain. That doesn't mean that you want to get on one knee and say, oh, you're in a lot of pain. Let me get on one knee and, you know, let me feel your pain. That's not how you do it. You can feel their pain, and yet you also have to be able to have your own sovereign relationship with that experience. This is one of the keys to life, right? You can feel the thing, but not be the thing. Keep that in mind. All right. So I'm going to play, the first one to play you is this gal. Let me line this thing up. And it's going to kind of blow your mind. It's always these things where I have to find things. And I've got them all lined up. Hold on, where are we? All right, why don't I do this? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for this while I'm trying to find that other piece. Is this it? Hold on. Oh, it's over here. It's over here. Yeah. Okay, I found it. All right, I'm going to play this young woman first. Now, this is at a protest, I believe, in Washington, D.C., and they want to take down this statue. And there are these two very dignified older black males who are defending the statue. Okay. It's a very, very interesting kind of portrait of one generation, another generation. Just watch it. I don't want to here. I'm going to play this thing. All right, let me line it up. But I want you to pay attention mostly to the energy of the young woman. Okay. All right, I'm going to have to do this because I'm only going through. All right, hold on. I have to, it's on a different browser. Let me grab the link. Oh, shit. All right, let me just try this. Let me see if this will work. Because, well, it's complicated. It's complicated. I think this will work. I hope it'll work. Tell me if you guys can hear this. I hope you can hear this. If you can't hear this, then you got to let me know. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, obviously I can't hear it. If I can't hear it, that means you can't hear it. So I got to re-rack this. Damn. It's really important. I can't get into Twitter because Twitter will not allow me. This is a different. I went through a different window. Oh, shit. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this. Okay, sorry. My mic was muted. So I had to go find this video and I found it. All right. My apologies. All right, here we go. I used some Gemini power. That's what I did. Gemini power. You should get the audio now. I'm on mute. Sorry about that. I know. I found that out. I figured that out. Yes. Just have to wait for you to catch up with me. Just catch up with me. I got the audio back, right? I got it, right? I knew it. I saw it. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Let me make sure that we're all together now. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. It's all set now. I had to go out of space time to figure this out. Okay, here we go. Watch this video. This video is an important piece. And then I'm going to play the companion video. All right, away we go. Away we go. Make sure everything's cool. Here we go.
You see, a lot of people hearing something down that they don't even know the history of. If you're going to protest something.
Oh, shit, now I'm not hearing it. Hold on. If I don't hear it, you're probably not hearing it. Fuck. Hold on. I'm getting there. Oh, I have about one of these a day, don't I? Okay, we're good there. We're good there. USB and B. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I just need to go back in. Let me do this. I apologize. At least you can hear me. At least you can hear me struggle. Go through this. Yep, not hearing. There we go. Testing 1, 2. Okay. All right. So here's what I have to do. I have to go black for a second. I just need to refresh. Give me 1 second. All right. The math professor is back. I'm ready to share. All right, here we go. Thanks for your patience.
Protest turning it back the way it was facing, which was the Capitol. That's the way that statue was facing. Y'all don't even know the history of this statue, but you want to tear it down because you are offended. Listen, and let me say one other thing. To all of the people that live in the community, babe, I work for myself. Don't nobody pay me to do nothing. I do this for myself. And for all of the people in the community that's so upset, give him the freedom. Why didn't you clean this statue up? Why haven't you cleaned up around it, community? You so upset and you want to tear it down, but you won't even clean up around it. Okay? It don't matter. I'm on business, sweetie. What you got? What you got? You go out here and put the history of the stuff. You don't even know the history. You don't even know the history.
Yes, the fuck I do.
Try to tell me this.
What do you know the history?
Why?
Why?
Who paid for it? Who paid for it? Who paid for the statue? Who paid for it? Who paid for it?
The same person we
Who paid for it?
So why are we fighting?
Who paid for it?
Why are we fighting? You look just like me to me in the world.
Who paid
Why
for
is
it?
fighting?
You are fighting. You two are fighting because divide and conquer. Divide and conquer has
Why are
people.
you fighting me?
I'm not fighting you. I'm actually here on your side.
No, here's the thing. Look, here's the
Step
problem.
out the way.
Any voice that is dissenting, they go reject you. Any voice that's going to object to, they go, brother. Any voice that see what I'm saying, brother.
We'll replay that for you.
You see, a lot of people are out here talking about tearing something down that they don't even know the history of. If you're going to protest something, protest turning it back the way it was facing, which was the Capitol. That's the way that statue was facing. Y'all don't even know the history of this statue, but you want to tear it down because you are offended. I'm talking. Listen, and let me say one other thing. To all of the people that live in the community, babe, I work for myself. Don't nobody pay me to do nothing. I do this for myself. And for all of the people in the community that's so upset, give him the freedom. Why didn't you clean this statue up? Why haven't you cleaned up around it, community? You so upset and you want to tear it down, but you won't even clean up around it. Okay? It don't matter.
I'm
my own business, sweetie. What you got? What you got? You go out here, but the history of the statue. You don't even know the history. You don't even know the history.
Yes, the fuck I do.
Tell it to me then.
What do you know the history?
Why?
Why?
Who paid for it? Who paid for it? Who paid for the statue? Who paid for it? Who paid for it?
The same person we talking
Who
about.
paid for
So
it?
why are we fighting?
Who paid for it?
Why are we fighting? You look just like me. You be in the world.
Who paid
Why
for
are
it?
you fighting me?
You are fighting. You two are fighting because divide and conquer. Divide and conquer has
Why are
people.
you fighting me?
I'm not fighting you. I'm actually sitting on your side.
Now, here's the thing. Look, here's the problem. Any voice that is dissenting, they go reject you.
All right, I just got to stop that. Okay, so to recap, we have this young woman who is completely and utterly being shrill and disrespectful to those two guys. That guy's got a business, okay? He's got a business. Black Tours DC. He's telling people about so-called Black history in Washington, DC. That's his business. He knows this stuff. Totally knows this stuff, okay? And then, of course, you got the Frederick Douglass dude standing there, looking very Frederick Douglass-like. And do you see what I mean? So there are three things. I don't care about the history. I don't need to know the history. This is a common refrain. They don't need to know the history. You look like me. We're in this by any means necessary, and step out of the way. That's the program. She's not even dealing with those guys as individuals. She's dealing with them as an ideology. A really, really bad ideology, by the way. Super bad ideology. So that's a problem. That's a problem. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Stripped out, no emotion. Well, there's emotion. It's hate. But all these things, right? The compassion, the empathy, it's gone. Just gone. Stripped out, extracted, and that's what you get. You get a program that's on repeat, 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 repeat. All right, let me show you quickly the other side of that. Okay, this is the other side of it. This is the male side. So, and then I gotta run after this. All right, so here we go. And I still have a lot more to cover today. I just can't cover it all. So let me do this, and let me get in here. And this was on Tucker Carlson a couple of nights ago. So I'm replaying it because it's worth replaying. And you're going to get a little bit of an intro with Tucker. And away we go.
Citizens and destroying things. No one has stopped them from doing that, so they've continued and they've become stronger. Politicians now cower before the mob. Corporate America mouths their slogan. The education cartel, enforced on your children, enforces their demands. Police officers, emasculated and restrained, watch it all from the sidelines, unable to help. For weeks we've asked, who will stand up for this country? And the answer we're learning is Americans. Americans will. It's up to them. Small groups of citizens are beginning to come forward to defend their laws, defend their history and their culture. Antifa does not own these things, neither does Black Lives Matter. They have no right to destroy them. In New York City over the weekend, a group of citizens gathered to defend a statue of Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was the most popular president in the history of this nation. That's partly because he was a sterling moral example. Antifa wants him erased. Local officials have said they will comply with that demand. No one asked the public what the public thinks of this. Our leaders don't care what they think. This group decided to be heard.
We will see to it that you fall, and you fall so hard, you won't know what hit you.
Check your privilege and get back over there.
Whoa, yo. Who are you talking to? Huh? You got something to say, little boy? You got something to say, little boy? No, you don't, do you?
No, just
Why
get back
don't
over
you?
there.
No, I'll stand wherever I
think
want.
you're bigots. You don't understand
Is that the best you got,
All
darling
men are
boy?
created
Is that the best you got, baby boy? Is that the best you got?
That's the New York we love. Is that the best you got?
So I'm going to cut it there. But what I wanted to show you there, here, let me rewind this thing just a little bit. It's kind of interesting. Let me just play it again.
See to it that you fall, and you fall so hard, you won't know what hit you.
Check your privilege and get back over there.
Now look at this guy. Now this guy is coming to the defense of this woman, which he theoretically should. This guy is your typical over-emotional soy boy. He's operating from the emotional place that the previous person that I showed you was completely devoid of. So she had been stripped of all her emotion with the exception of rage. He theoretically has been stripped of any kind of discernment and intellectual capacity because he's parroting this social Marxist party line vis-a-vis the Frankfurt School, right? And he is a bully. He found a woman, an older woman to bully. Okay, so he has no theoretical male energy. It has been stripped out of him. This guy, on the other hand, ironically wearing a white hat, steps into the breach and puts himself between her and him. This guy has not been programmed. He's not been programmed. This guy is a theoretical man. She keeps referring to him as a boy. He's a boy. He has not grown up, and any potential for being a man has been eradicated, either through science or through diet or through ideology or a combination of it all. Let me play it again.
Yo. Who are you talking to? Huh? You got something to say, little boy? You got something to say, little boy? No, you don't, do you?
No, just
Why
get back
don't you?
over there.
No, I'll stand
Right back over there.
You're bigots. You don't understand
Is that the best you got,
All
darling
men are
boy?
created
Is that the best you got, baby boy? Is that the best you got?
Is that the best you got? So I'm just showing you this extreme polarization. Extreme polarization. This is what they've done to our young people. They've made women far less feminine, and they've made girls far less feminine and boys far less masculine. So out of balance, and I think they're in pain. I think they are very, very much immersed in their own pain, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it, and I feel sorry for these kids, but not sorry enough to fall on one knee because that's the wrong way to go. That is not a strategy. Okay, not a strategy. Okay, there we go. We covered a lot of ground today, a lot of ground. And by the way, let me just say this and wrapping this all up because this is what I've been thinking about. What these people are doing, and even to some extent what we're doing, is we are watching reality through a little tiny pinhole. Tiny pinhole, right? That's like so small. And when we step outside of this so-called reality, and a lot of people have done it through things like DMT or whatever, right? Near-death experiences. But when you step outside of this reality in a very big way, and there's a guy by the name of Peter Panagore, and I saw an interview with him recently and just blew me away. And he's agreed to be on the show. And he's a guy that's had another one of these he's actually articulated the near-death experience better than anybody I've ever seen. So I'm gonna bring him onto the show. We're gonna talk about this. And if these people, and here's really what we need, right? Here's what we need. The entire planet needs to step out of space-time for about 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds, and have the big picture, right? The big picture, the vast opening, and we all need it simultaneously. That's how this thing changes. And it's not going to change until that happens. And when that happens, people look around and they go, what the fuck? What have we been doing? What is this all about? Because we're participating in the so-called consensual reality, right? That's what's going on. And it's just such a limited, tiny, tiny sliver portion. And if we had that moment out of time, we have that moment out of time, right? Everybody, it all stops. And some people may not be able to handle that moment. It may drive some people actually batty and insane. And other people, it may beatify them to the point where everything just drops. People drop their guns. They drop their attitudes. They look around and go, Jesus, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I treated you this way. I'm sorry this. I'm sorry that, right? And we all get to have a momentary past life review this lifetime. We all get it all at once. We all feel it all at once, which is a Star Trek episode, by the way. You guys, it's actually a movie, right? With Lawrence Luckinbill, one of my favorite actor names. But that's the way. That's the only way. That's the only way that this thing will actually shift, right? It's the only way. And these people have designed this thing from soup to nuts, right? They've designed the reality. They've created the reality. They've created the spiritual, the mental, the intellectual cul-de-sacs that people get into and then they can't get out of. And that is the game changer. And that game is changing, by the way. It is a game changer. And the thing about the game changer, right, is that, so I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday, and then I really got to go. I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday, and I was describing this idea to her. She said, well, how do we do it? How do we do it? We have to invite that moment. We have to invite the moment. The moment is not going to show up unless we invite it, right? How do you invite the moment? Okay, so, and I'll give you a little example. My mother had a lot of anxiety about coming out here. So I thought to myself, okay, how do I deal with that, right? How do I deal with that? So what I did is I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get everything she likes. I know what she likes. I'm going to go get it so we don't have to deal with it. And then, it's kind of maybe a Virgo efficiency thing. But I also felt like if I have these things on an energetic level, right, she'll know she's going to be welcome, right? That this is the invitation. This is the invitation. And I think, and she showed up and, she's relatively happy. Now, did that move the needle? I don't know. Maybe it did. But what happened if I didn't do that? How would that have gone? Right? Mindfulness, mindset, preparedness. So we have to invite the moment. We have to invite the grand cosmic moment. And we do this, right? We can all do this in our own way, right? We start right now. Invite that grand cosmic moment so that these people who are in absolute pain, to allow them to step outside of that, to see reality from a much bigger perspective. And then all of a sudden, everything, all the king's horses and all the king's men, the Greg Abbotts of the world, the Hillary Clintons of the world, John Podestas of the world, all these people become nothing more than stick figures. That's it. That's it. So I invite you to invite the moment. Invite you to invite the moment. Every single moment of your life, invite the moment. Invite the moment where we have a collective awakening all together, and be ready for it, right? Hold that space. In the meantime, take care of your business, right? Make sure that, you just dot those I's and cross those T's. And if stuff gets hot and heavy, you got to be in the world. You've just got to be in the world. That's just the way the game works, right? And this is the true balance we're trying to strike. To be able to take care of business, be in 3D, but invite this other emergent reality for everybody into our lives. Okay? All right, I'm going to leave that with you. Figure out your own invitation. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'll be back. I don't think I'm going to be here tomorrow, because if I am, it's going to be much earlier because I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. It's not a big thing. Don't worry about it. But until then, use your head to discern what's real, your heart to set what's possible. Thanks for being a part of the show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you like it, share it. And God bless y'all. Bye for now.